So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me today for Such Sweet Thunder. This is a meditation program which I designed based on two different types of meditation, which I discovered in the Tibetan tradition, mostly drawing on Dzogchen, actually, Dzogchen tradition in Tibet. So, a couple of announcements before I get started. Um, I have a new podcast that I would like to talk about. This is very exciting. It's my first venture forth into podcasting. And so that's a completely audio format in case you want to explore my teachings and my offerings, but you don't want to be strapped down to a device that you have to watch video over a phone or a television, so forth, like that. So now you can take me in audio form, and that's the name of the podcast is Such Sweet Thunder. And that is available on Spotify and Anchor FM. A couple of other announcements on July 3rd at 6 p.m. It's coming up this Friday, coming up very fast on the calendar here. July 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Bodhi Tree Cafe 2 in Chiang Mai. I am giving a dharma talk on this practice, on Such Sweet Thunder practice, where I'll be going into that practice quite extensively here, so I won't talk too much about what I'll be offering there at the talk. But if you'd like to get deeper into a practice of mindfulness, or if you'd like to start a practice on mindfulness, this is a great beginner's practice. In fact, it's known as a primary practice, a groundwork practice, like that. So it tills the soil, really, for more advanced practices, or even practices that are still beginner practices, like loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, and joy. This makes a great pairing with those practices because it cultivates the awareness and attention necessary for those other practices. I'll talk more about that later. Okay, July 3rd at 6 p.m., Bodhi Tree Cafe 2 in Chiang Mai in North Thailand, talking about Such Sweet Thunder meditation program. July 4th at 2 p.m., also in Chiang Mai in North Thailand, I'll be speaking at the Holistic Healing Center, giving a talk on loving kindness. Great practice, and if you've missed my talks on loving kindness, you can scroll back or visit my website, www.suchsweetthunder.org. I do many presentations and talks on loving kindness practice. It's a practice that's very close to my own heart. I really enjoy loving kindness. Then July 17th to the 24th, I am facilitating a loving kindness retreat at the New Life Foundation in Chiang Rai in northern Thailand. If you haven't been to the New Life Foundation, please do check out the website, www.newlifefoundation.com. It's a beautiful area, lots of green, lush mountains, wonderful place to get deep into a practice. So that'll be an 8-day traditional meditation practice. There'll be periods that we embrace noble silence and really getting very deep into this practice of loving kindness. Okay, I think that's all the announcements I want to say, or give right now anyway. So the talk here is on the topic of mindfulness of the breath and mindfulness of the body. But the way I practice mindfulness and the way I teach mindfulness doesn't stop with the breath and the body. And so I just want to outline the complete Such Sweet Thunder practice before we go into really focusing on the breath and the body. So the breath and the body is the first stage of a 6-stage practice. And so when one takes on the practice of Such Sweet Thunder, of this type of mindfulness practice, we rest in the experience of the breath, rest in the experience of the body. Now, I talked a little bit about the difference of resting in an experience and focusing on an experience. And that is quite an important distinction. So I'll just recap on that again in case you missed my last talk. When we rest into an experience, we're actually opening to what's arising in the present moment. It's not a focusing on. A focusing is a kind of a bearing down, a concentration. This we actually open and rest into the experience of the breath and the body. Now that's just the first stage. Generally, a practitioner will work at that stage, feeling the breath and the body. Then there'll be lots of thoughts. Particularly if you're just beginning a meditation practice, you'll have quite a heavy stream of thinking. So the technique that I recommend one uses is that whenever you notice that you're distracted by your thoughts, you say thinking, you let those thoughts go, and you come back to the present moment. Like that. Now, each time you go through that process, you're actually strengthening the muscle of awareness and attention. Each time you get distracted and you return, it's like you're lifting weights or you're practicing scales on a musical instrument. You're building capacity for that awareness and attention. So eventually, one will be able to rest and experience the entire breath and the entire body as one experience. Now, again, when one first takes up a practice like this, it's quite normal for awareness to be shifting around. Sensation, maybe the foot's falling asleep, or there's an ache in the knee, or an itch in the shoulder, or an itch in the nose. Awareness wants to focus on those irritation spots. Very normal. So when that happens, we expand awareness out from the area of focus. That way, we're not pushing away that experience. We're not saying, oh, I don't want to focus on that, I want to focus on everything else. But no, we want to focus on everything else in addition to that irritation. So we include the irritation in with the rest of the present moment experience. And we do that for many reasons, but that technique keeps the habit of repression from forming. So quite important to start cultivating that habit very early on in a meditation practice, where we actually include the irritation that we're focused on, not pushing it away like that. So feeling the breath, feeling the body, then you'll get distracted by thoughts, you come back to the present moment. Now, oftentimes what happens there is people want to, they habitually kind of berate themselves for getting distracted. Oh, I can't do this, my mind's too active, I can't meditate, I'm not good at this, whatever. But actually, that recognizing the distraction and returning back, that's the method. That is the method. So if each time you're doing that, that's actually a victory. That's a success. So when people come to the meditation and they start getting upset with themselves or impatient with themselves, I think impatience is probably a good word there. They get impatient. They want to be able to have a really silent, quiet, still mind. Somehow they think that as soon as the bell rings, the thoughts will leave. Huh. And if you've meditated for even a moment, you know that that's not how it works. So when that happens, that's an indication that the practitioner is practicing the results rather than practicing the method to get to the results. And that's a very important distinction. And in fact, what I found in my own practice and in giving instruction to others is that usually when there's a frustration in regards to the practice, that person, or myself included, we're practicing the results. We're expecting the results. We're looking for the results rather than practicing the method and just being patient with that method and allowing the method to deliver the results that that method is designed to deliver, and then showing up to receive those results. So quite an important distinction there. And if you do have a meditation practice already, notice that in yourself. Each time, anytime you feel frustrated or impatient, you can ask yourself, what am I expecting here? Am I practicing the results rather than practicing the method to get to the results? Now, when we're practicing mindfulness of the breath, and we, expect the mind to just be quiet rather than going through that method of saying thinking, return, that's the method. So if we get frustrated and we think, oh, I should have a quiet mind, that's indicative of practicing the results rather than practicing the method to get to the results. Quite an important distinction there, and worth mentioning, I think. Okay, so we start with mindfulness of the breath. And we do this in the way I teach this course. There are many, many teachings on this, so I like to discern that. This is how I offer mindfulness of the breath. And this comes right from the Tibetan traditions. We start from the nose, the breath entering and leaving the nose. And you'll notice right away that you can't actually feel the air, right? But you feel the body's response to the air, right? Just like you can't see the wind in the trees, but you see the tree's response to the wind. And so right there, you can start just by that, just noticing. That's the body's response. What's happening in the nose there? Is there a cool sensation? Is there a dry sensation? Am I breathing more air through one nostril over the other? Getting really finely tuned with how the breath moves in and out of the nose. Then we add the experience of the back of the throat, the breath as it touches the back of the throat. Then we add the experience of the rib cage expanding and contracting as we breathe. Sensations of clothing moving with that process, the abdomen rising and falling, the back. And so it's this experience of awareness starting small and expanding to finally include the whole experience of the breath. Now there'll be thoughts, that's normal. Thinking, coming back, you're lifting those weights. You're running those scales, building capacity to hold in awareness all of the breathing process. And so one rests in that for some time, maybe a few seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 6 breaths, 8 breaths. And then we move into the body and we do what's called body scanning. Now, benefits of the body or rather mindfulness of the body yields some really great benefits, really profound benefits. Because our emotional states arise to us through awareness of the body, right? When we have anger, we know that we're angry because of our body's response to a stimulus in our environment. But often we don't recognize that. In fact, I think most times we don't, right? And all of a sudden something arises in our environment and we get angry. And then we want to yell, kick, punch, scream, shout, whatever it is, however our habitual response to anger is. But what we're responding to is the sensations in the body. We're not responding to the present moment. We're reacting to how that stimulus makes our body feel. And so the deeper we can feel our body, the more accurately we know the sensations of the body, the sooner we can intercept that chain reaction. So for example, if If any of you drive and you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off on the road, the anger arises in the body. Jaws clenching, shoulders getting tense, eyes might start watering, your shoulders might rise up, hair on the back of the neck rises, whatever, your face gets hot, your fists clench. That's the physical experience of anger. Then the reaction to that anger arises. Punch the steering wheel, punch the dashboard, pull over the side of the road, roll the window down, raise the appropriate finger, so forth. That's what causes our suffering. We bring suffering to ourselves and we bring suffering to others in that reaction. Either we do that, we express it in an unhealthy way, or we repress it back into the body. That causes our body to get sick, also causing suffering. So the third option to that is to simply feel the emotion as it arises. Feel, in this example, anger. Again, the clenching of the abdomen, the clenching of the fists, the jaw, the face getting hot. Noticing the physical sensations. And then we can just rest in that. That's actually, it's really not that bad. We don't need to express it in an unhealthy way. And we don't need to repress it. You can just feel it. And so this is one of the real primary benefits of this type of practice. And we get it right at the beginning, at the first stage of this practice, breath and body. And so I implore people when they work with me one-on-one, don't skip over the body scanning. It's very, very important to learn to feel the body very deeply. Now, I want to put in parentheses here that if any of you are listening to this and you have trauma gets stored in the body very often. And so if you're coming to a meditation practice and you've been instructed to scan the body, and well, some people who are holding trauma in their body find that very triggering. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's good if you try body scanning and you feel yourself getting triggered, you feel the trauma getting activated, step out of the practice. That's it for the day. You've done enough. Then mindfulness can be done starting from the sounds of the present moment and then working from the sounds back into the breath and the body. I'm going to talk about that when I get to the stage on the aural field. So that is a stage of this practice. It's actually the next stage of the practice. And so again, if anybody here watching these episodes, take heart. If you find going into the body, mindfulness of the body difficult, it can be done, but it's best to start externally and work inward that way. Okay. So as I mentioned, I want to talk through the such sweet thunder stages and then come back to the breath and the body. So that, as I mentioned, the next stage is the aural field, the sounds of the present moment, the sense of hearing. The visual field after that. Then we add the experience of emotions, feelings, and then we open our heart and embrace the present moment, which is quite lovely. So I call that the radical embrace of the present moment. It's really, really, really nice. And then we bring that cultivated, heightened sense of awareness and attention to the witness, to the one who's having this experience. Now, generally it takes people I work with one-on-one a few months to get through each stage. It might take a month to get through the breath and the body. When I say get through, I mean allowing the thoughts to settle. So there's not too many distractive thoughts. Then we do breath body, we let the thoughts settle, we do that for about a month, and then we open our awareness to the sounds. Now, because that takes more attention and awareness, there'll be more thoughts. So that's the workout. So we let those thoughts go, come back to the present moment, lifting those weights, letting those thoughts go, come back to the present moment, lifting those weights. Eventually, our awareness and attention gets strong enough to hold all of the sounds and the silence of the present moment, all of the breath in the body. Then we open our eyes, take in the visual field, because that's more of the present moment now. We need a greater sense of awareness and attention. But that's good because now there's more thoughts to work with, and that's the workout. So that'll happen for another couple of months. Then one will be able to see the entire visual field, hear all of the sounds and the silence, feeling all of the breath in the body. Then we open again to the emotions and so forth. And that's how the practice unfolds. So stay tuned for all of that. I'm going to be going through each stage systematically on Mondays, giving a talk, on Thursdays here on Facebook and Instagram Live, doing guided meditations. So systematically working through the Such Sweet Thunder practice. If you'd like to follow along, I do have a book outlining this practice as well, and I'm happy to email out PDF copies of the book. Just send me a message, and I'm happy to send that along to you. Okay, so I did start a little bit about mindfulness of the breath, and I talked some about, mindfulness of the body. And I talked some about the benefits, noticing and experiencing our emotional states through the body. Great, great benefit there. So we do mindfulness of the body by what I call, what is known as body scanning. I can't copyright that term. Body scanning. And the way I generally offer body scanning is starting from the top of the head, and we scan systematically through the body. And as we go through the body, we invite the muscles in the body to rest. And if you've listened to any of my guiding meditations, you notice that I emphasize the resting. Resting is very important in meditation practice. The deeper we can rest, the deeper we can feel. Because the resistances that keep us from feeling certain things are now allowed to rest. And so we practice that resting. As we go through the body, we invite the body to rest, allowing the muscles to grow soft and relax. And doing this over and over again, day in and day out, resting, resting, resting. If you do that for some time, before long you start to notice that you can feel more. You have more access to the body. You can feel your emotions much sooner. You can feel, you relate to life in a more accurate way. So allowing the body to rest as we go through the body. Now, something that I've come across quite recently in my practice, which I love, and I love this. So going through the body, also labeling the feeling tones as you go through the body. So you start at the top of the head, and you might feel, I don't know, a cool sensation or a tingling sensation there. Or you might not feel any sensation at all at the top of the head. That's quite normal. So then you can say, well, is that pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Well, there's a nice cool sensation there. That's pleasant. Honestly, I don't feel any sensation at the top of the head. Well, it's probably neutral. I feel kind of an itchy sensation at the top of the head. That's unpleasant. And so forth. And we go through the whole body, noticing the pleasant feeling tones, the unpleasant feeling tones, and the neutral feeling tones. And that really allows awareness to get very deep inside of the body. And what I've noticed in my own practice, I've been doing that now for almost 2 years, I guess, when I came across this practice, and I added it to my own practice. It's actually not in the book yet. It keeps bringing gifts. I keep noticing more and more. I keep being able to go deeper and deeper in awareness with that technique. So I recommend that to you all as well. When you start doing a body scanning practice, is that pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? You might notice an area of the body that has an ache, like in the shoulder. I get an ache in the shoulder sometimes. That's unpleasant. But then as I continue through the body, I'll notice it doesn't feel that unpleasant anymore. Now it's shifted. It's more of a neutral feeling. Then maybe I come back in a couple of days, I do another body scan. Now there's no soreness at all there. Now it's pleasant. So the body sensations change and fluctuate. So in a way, our body is showing us the teachings of impermanence, how nothing stays the same. Quite beautiful, quite profound there. So another great lesson to be learned, another nugget of wisdom to be farmed from body scanning practice. So we go through the entire body. And again, always adding more. So we started with the breath, and we add sensations of the breath. So we're holding the whole breath. And then we go through the body, we add the sensations of the body. So allowing awareness to get larger and larger and larger and larger. Now, you might get halfway through the body and you've forgotten about the head. That's normal. Again, that's just like that process of thinking and returning. Say, oh, I'm not feeling the head anymore. Come back, add all of that. You've made another rep with that awareness barbell, strengthening that awareness and attention. So nothing is ever wasted in this practice. Every motion to come back to the present moment, every motion to reclaim a sensation is cultivating a heightened sense of awareness and attention. So beautiful, right? So we go through the whole body. Now awareness is actually quite large. And so again, if you have let's use the example of the ache in the shoulder again. That ache shows up. Awareness will go whoom, collapse down on that sensation. That's normal. That's the human experience. We all do that. So then when that happens, expanding out, I think of it like a star exploding, like psh, expanding out from that area to include the whole body, the whole breath again. So that includes the soreness. We're not pushing it away, we're not repressing it, expanding out from that area to include the whole body. So I often get asked the question, well, what about meditation posture? Should I be sitting on the floor cross-legged? Should I be holding a particular posture? What's important with the posture? And some teachers are really strict about posture. The way I've come to understand meditation is that one should be as relaxed as possible. So if one can sit on the floor cross-legged and allow their body to be relaxed and soft and comfortable, great. I myself have never been able to do that. And I trained in the Zen tradition for many, many, many years. Zen tradition is very, very posture heavy. For 20 years, I tried to hold a cross-legged position on a meditation cushion. And there was always tension in my body. It never felt right. When my Tibetan teacher said, Chris, why aren't you sitting in a chair? Wow, everything changed for me. And so what I've come to recognize is that allowing the body to be resting, to be soft in meditation is very important. Because if there's tension in the body, if we're holding our body in a particular way and meditating, that becomes habitual. And that's a sign that we're controlling something in the practice, right? And so the problem there then becomes is that when we experience challenging emotions, during a meditation practice, which if anybody takes up a long time meditation practice, you're bound to encounter challenging emotions. It's par for the course. It happens to any long term meditator. When those emotions arise, we then move to repress that. We start controlling that because that is uncomfortable too. The posture is uncomfortable, but we're controlling it. We're tightened against it. We're forcing the body to do something uncomfortable. So then when pain, maybe anger, let's say anger arises, some repressed anger, or even doesn't even have to be a darker or a heavy emotion. It could be some repressed experience of joy arises. But it's foreign, it's unfamiliar, it's unexpected. And so we will habitually try to control that experience, not to feel it, or at least to feel it less. So very important to allow the body to be as restful as possible in meditation. Can't emphasize that highly enough. And I bring this up because I myself had this experience during my Zen training. Was very, very into trying to sit in the right way. But once I was allowed to free my mind of the right versus wrong paradigm, and just to embrace the present moment. That's what meditation is, embracing the present moment. Once I was allowed to do that in a comfortable, resting way, I was then able to experience things during meditation and outside of meditation that I hadn't previously allowed myself to experience. Quite important. Quite important. Okay. Let's see, what else did I want to cover? So, right, posture. So, my favorite posture instructions, uh, uh, breath like the wind, body like the mountain, mind like the sky. And I think traditionally it actually goes body like the mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. And that's all you need. That's all you need to know. You don't need to sit in any particular way or hold your body in a particular way. Because how does a mountain sit, right? Body like a mountain. Well, when you think about a mountain sitting there, it's pretty effortless, right? A mountain doesn't try to sit in any particular way. And these, again, are very traditional Tibetan posture instructions. So, not my own thing here. So, body like the mountain, effortless but strong, noble. Breath like the wind. You don't try to control the breath because you can't control the wind, right? So you just allow the breath to move in and out of the body and simply noticing the sensations and how the body moves in rhythm with the breath. But again, not trying to control it in any way. And again, that points to what I was just talking about, how we're not trying to control anything because that controlling becomes habitual. So just breathe how you would normally breathe. Mind like the sky. Because there's nothing the sky can't hold, right? And so here is this radical open acceptance of the present moment. So when challenging sensations, challenging emotions, challenging feelings, challenging thoughts, it's all part of the meditation practice. So we hold our mind open, vast like the sky. And then anything that arises in that sky-like awareness is grist for the mill. So I think that's all I want to say today. I hope you all found this at least entertaining, if not beneficial. I will be back on Thursday on Facebook and Instagram guiding a meditation into the next stage of the Such Sweet Thunder practice, where we open to the sounds. Now, in that meditation, I will also be doing the feeling tones that I just mentioned. In my previous Thursday's episode, we did breath and body, but without the feeling tones. So this will be breath and body plus, and then aural field, or the sense of hearing and sound. So do tune in for that on Thursday. If there are any questions or comments, anything you would like to hear me address on these episodes, please do private message me or put a comment underneath the video here. Happy to answer any questions that come in on the Monday's episodes. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, stay clean, stay healthy, and I will see you all on Monday. I will see you all on Thursday. Have a great few days.